Welcome in, everybody, to another edition of BC Buckets versus Series. I'm Matthew Brune, and joining me once again is Colin Mitchell. And today, Colin, we have 2 point guards in this class. I consider Tyty Washington as a combo guard. But anyways, I have Tyty Washington. You have Kennedy Chandler. 2 players projected in around the 16 to 22 range, somewhere in that area.
Yeah, I agree with that.
And before we get started, um, I know that you're not high on these 2 guards.
No.
I've watched a lot of both of them being in the SEC, but just why don't we start in reverse here? Why don't you talk about what your concerns are with Tyty Washington? Let's start with concerns before we start with positives, since you are not high on either one of them.
I like this. I like this a lot. Tyty Washington, listen, man, he came into the SEC. Yeah, thank you. Couldn't think of what I was thinking
The
of.
league. I thought you were gonna say the league.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking of as well.
Not
Anyways, as what would have been the number one point guard prospect, and obviously there's only 2, but higher than 19 to 22 or whatever we just said. So, listen. He has the skill, right? Like he has the shiftiness, the playmaking ability. He's able to be good on defense despite his frame. And then he has the shooting upside for a good shot. So I think that, all of those things, yeah, it's what you want in a point guard. The caveat is he's 6'3", maybe, and then I don't know why he's listed at 197, but he sure don't look it. So I mean, that's the red flag, right? You can't be a 1 in the league now and be a super big defensive liability unless you just are way plus on offense, like Kyrie, CP3. I have a comp here, late career D Rose, just because it doesn't you can't. It's tough because it's like he has to develop a first shot. He has to be able to get to the rim. He likes to settle for floaters, and his float game's great. Like his in between game's great. It's just you have to trust him on defense not to get exposed, which ones are notorious for getting exposed early in their careers, regardless of how they did in college. And then you have to hope that he's able to drive to the rim against NBA level guys when he couldn't really do it in college. So I just think that it's tough, and that's why they're not being taken, top 5 or top 10 or whatever. So yeah, I mean those would be my knocks on him.
Yeah, for Kennedy Chandler, I think obviously anybody who watched him, he's 5'11". I mean, he's listed a lot of places at 6 foot, and then you listen to people who know the sport, know the game, and they're like, no, he's 5'11" max.
He's definitely 5'11".
That's the first concern. And then I have, again, I've heard a lot of this. It's like, oh, but he does everything so well on the court. It's like, yes, he did it well when he was playing against Vanderbilt, Missouri, LSU. Like, no offense. Like, SEC was a great conference, and he did really well in it. He shot 38% from 3, but he's still, the finishing and the playmaking that he had in the paint does not translate to the NBA. Like, it just doesn't. It doesn't project to the NBA. If nothing else, he's going to have to be able to shoot the 3 ball at an incredibly high rate. At 38%, but what we saw in college was him really struggle at times with the off the dribble 3. And because of that, teams were kind of able to defend him in certain ways. And so I'm not sure that he's going to be able to get downhill as quickly. He has to be a really, really knockdown 3-point shooter, because if not, he's not going to be able to go in and finish over, any of the Rudy Gobert. I mean,
yeah.
Any of the players that are big in the NBA. So that's a concern. And then my last thing with Kenny Chandler, while on the defensive side of the ball, he was really solid in college. And so I don't want to say that he's a bad defender by any means. I just kept playing in my head, what happens if Jalen Brunson gets the ball against him? And Jalen Brunson just gets the ball on the block and takes like 2 dribbles and just hooks it over him like 5 straight possessions. And that's an example. I mean, there's a lot of guards that have, Kyrie Irving, obviously, while he's not, post hook guy, he's going to take you down to do 1-2 and just finish right over you. So the Kennedy Chandler problems, a lot of it stem from his height, which might be unfair. But at the end of the day, you look at teams across the NBA, there's very, very few point guards under 6'2", right? I mean, like,
yeah,
Chris Paul is obviously Chris Paul. Like I'm not going
Yeah,
to
he's the
compare.
outlier here.
Yeah, I'm
He's
not
the
going to compare him
outlier.
to Chris Paul. So, yeah, it's just tough for me to see that. And I think I've heard and I've seen from a lot of people say, maybe a backup point guard is his kind of most likely outcome, and I can see that as being the case. So, yeah, that's the negatives on Kenny Chandler. But while I am talking,
Okay.
I'll quickly touch on Tyty Washington's positives because I actually am higher on both of these guards, I think, than you are.
Hmm.
And I do think Tyty Washington is better of the two guards, if nothing else, just because he has a higher ceiling. Like I just think his ability to create, he can navigate ball screens, he can hit some pull up jumpers. Like you said, he's really comfortable in the in between game, which will have to expand. He's going to have to get that behind the 3-point line. Um, and I think he can do that. I think that's a realistic jump. And then I think he fought on defense while he's not athletic. He still, was able to get in position at times. And the last thing I'll say in this long spiel is I have a motto now, and it's draft Kentucky guards. Okay.
Draft Kentucky guards.
That's my motto. All right. If we have to go down the list, De'Aaron Fox, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, Tyrese Maxey, Emmanuel Quickly, Devin Booker, Tyler Hero, Jamal Murray. You go down the list. Some are drafted really high, some are not. Like again, Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. When we watched him in college, what did we say? We were like, this guy is he's
Yeah.
not that good. He's not that exciting. I mean, he's not interesting. But what is he doing now? He's an all-star. Like Emmanuel Quickly, we were both high on him last year, maybe, and
2
not even
years ago.
enough. Not high. 2 years ago, but yes,
Yeah.
not high enough, obviously. So I think there's something here. Calipari knows what good guards look like, and especially coming out of high school. And so that's my hashtag: draft Kentucky guards.
Okay, draft Kentucky guards. Regarding Kennedy Chandler, I completely agree with everything you said that knocks him. I think all I'm comparing with these two guards is what their floor is and not necessarily their ceiling. Because yeah, I mean, like you said, he needs to shoot his acceptable clip. He shot 28% from three for like the whole season, and then in March he shot 57%, and it's like, where did that come from?
Mhm.
His shot's super set, and his size obviously is the knock. I just think that he's a guy that can come off the bench, and this is basically, in my eyes, his floor and ceiling. That can kind of be
Like change the pace.
yeah, exactly. Ish Smith is what I have down, where it's just like he's fast in transition. It's just back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And a lot of the times, it might not be that great, but it's going to give you that extra spark. And I think that that's where it can happen. The difference with Ish Smith is that this guy, Kennedy Chandler, is going to be better on defense than him. But I think that Kennedy Chandler also, he gets downhill very fast. You might be able to not necessarily have the ball in his hands every time, but you can, kind of let him attack the basket off the catch. And then he limits turnovers. He's not trying to make too much happen. And he didn't really have a great offensive team on Tennessee, but still had a 2-to-1 turnover ratio. So I think that for those reasons, I think that his floor is going to be higher than Tyty Washington. Now, obviously, I think we both agree that Tyty Washington's ceiling is higher than Kennedy Chandler's, right? Like, if he's able to kind of build on his frame and is able to develop that first step where we kind of saw flashes, then yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you where I think that he can be a starting level guard and fringe all-star, if you want to call it that. But I think that it's the floor that concerns me, just because we see a lot of skilled guys now, like you said, draft Kentucky guards, and I didn't necessarily think of that when I was looking at these two guys. So
It's okay. That's why I'm here. That's why
yeah,
I'm here. I mean, I just scroll through the names. It's like, all right, you have Malik Monk. Keldon Johnson's not technically a guard, but hey, throw him in
yeah,
there. It's the forwards where you start to get sketchy with Kentucky a bit. Kevin Knox, Trey Lyles, Wenyen Gabriel, Jared Vanderbilt's a fine player. Julius Randle's a fine player. So, anyways, yeah, that's something I definitely want to hammer home. Draft Kentucky guards, because I will not let the next Emmanuel Quickly slip past me this time. I'm not going to let that happen.
we didn't let him slip past last time though.
That's true.
That's
That's
true.
true. We didn't.
And
We had him way
also,
higher than others.
Manuel quickly wasn't he the SEC Defensive Player of the Year?
I don't remember off the top of my head, but
I feel like he was. He's
he
really
was
good on defense.
actually. It sounds familiar, but I hesitate to say anything that's
Yeah.
not definitive on this platform. So, but yeah, there you go. There's Tyty Washington, Kennedy Chandler. Colin hates them both. I like Tyty Washington at least a little bit, so I hope this was helpful in why I think Tyty Washington's a better prospect. I think he'll go higher in the draft. Kennedy Chandler's draft stock's been dipping down kind of, I don't want to say precipitously, but pretty drastically over the past couple months. So we'll see. I think he's still a first round pick, especially like you said, if nothing else, just to be a change of pace guard on one of these teams. I mean, it's like you watch Peyton Pritchard, contribute to the Celtics, and you're like, okay,
Yeah, but
maybe.
Peyton Pritchard has the. I even said whenever we scouted Peyton Pritchard, I was like, this dude's gonna replace Kemba Walker as like a if Kemba Walker's hurt, and you said no.
I hate it. No,
No.
I didn't. I did not like Peyton Pritchard as much.
Yeah, but I think but he has that, he was able to do it, and he scored a lot of points in at Oregon. So, yeah, I mean, it's weird. It's tough because these are your first point guards. If you want to call Ty Washington a point guard in the draft, so
yeah, well, it'll be interesting. We appreciate y'all for joining us. Leave a like, comment, share, subscribe, all that good stuff. Thank y'all for joining us, and we'll talk to y'all later.